Birch, we got a question in on Saturday night from Martin Healy. So Martin couldn't wait to get this off his chest. It was just a couple of hours after the match. Martin asks, is the issue with our line out a confidence thing? When we had challenges in the World Cup, have teams just doubled down and felt they have a chance if they attack us? Is the lifting an issue without Furlong? Do we need a fresh voice on line out? It's hurting our attack so much. Saturday wasn't the worst day, but why is our scrum always felt like it is about to fold? Greg Feek seemed to have us in a better place for scrums. Defence has been excellent now for years, but other facets are struggling. Do we need to take a step back and refresh with another new voice on the coaching ticket?
Um, I don't think so. No, look, I think obviously when you have as many lineouts as you had at the weekend, it's always going. You're always going to be stretched in terms of your options. I don't even think you can put it on Tyke Furlong and his lifting. I mean, it's there. Maybe there is a little bit of a lack of confidence because it's it's been consistently just below. Like it's not catastrophic, but it's just below where we want it to be. And I think you know, from a positive point of view, they say, well, look at we mauled them over at the end when we needed to, and and that area is something that we can build upon. I do think it's probably we haven't got an out and out line out specialist like someone who is just the master of that area. And Joe and James, as a combination, they're there for their physicality and their work rate more so than being out and out line out gurus. You look at someone like Adam Beard, you look at any of the South African locks, bar Estabet, they're all line, especially go back to Victor Mayfield, go back to Leo Cullen when he played, go back to Paul himself. We just don't have Devin Toner for years was a first choice for as in one of the first people picked for Joe Schmidt because the lineout and the set piece off the lineout was such an important part of what Joe did, and Devin added so much there. So I think I would start with that, just a lineout caller who is absolutely the master of his craft and is world class at being composed and picking the right option. And that we don't have that, and that's just the profile we have at the moment. And I think that's been there for a while. I think we missed the trick. We talk about player development and you talk about really being really aligned. Like this shouldn't have come as a surprise. There was no one in the system who was likely to have the athletic ability to play for Ireland at lock. That was being groomed to be also a line out specialist, and they've tried to share it around. And Tig is not bad. He's not bad, but it's not his area of super strength. If you get me, and it's a very difficult skill to have. And the challenge for Paul is trying to fast track someone to be that if it's not something that's natural to them. So yeah, I think they can fix it, but unfortunately, we're going through a period at the moment where it's quite painful for everyone involved.
The
What do you
confidence
think,
point
Mike?
is the confidence point I think is relevant because even when
Yeah.
they're winning a lot at the front, and yeah, sometimes you absolutely have to take what's given to you at the front, but maybe they're just going there a little bit too much and not challenging themselves to get ball off the back because there's still, again, like all areas of the game, there's still some excellent line out work in here. The maul try is a brilliant example. They absolutely nailed that. Call it before they get in. The movement on the ground from Manny to get Henderson up and down, and the maul work that follows is excellent. The other two tries obviously come off the back of lineouts as well, and that's been the real theme in this campaign is getting lineouts in the 22 and being ruthless off them. They've done that brilliantly, and Paul O'Connell, of course, plays a massive role in that. The maul has laid on a couple of more. Even his 5 meter, he does the 5 meter taps and the goal line dropout plays, and obviously that's been a massive part of Ireland's game. So yeah, they are doing lots of good stuff, but I feel like that confidence has just had a wobble, and there's the misses are so prominent when the line out is the restart of the game and you're so focused on it and they're so memorable. Even if you think of the one, the 36th minute where they're 7 meters out, Pendergast, who I should have mentioned actually, his line kicking was brilliant again. He had one 42-meter effort, which is right up there as the longest line kick in the entire Automation series. I think South Africa had a longer one, but it's a real strength for him. And he puts him in the corner and they're 6 or 7 meters out, and Byrne goes to Porter with the front lift, but there's no back lift. Doris and McCarthy get confused, And in that position, like that's a big error. That shouldn't be happening. So that's moments where they're just losing that clarity of focus, which is also affecting their handling. And there's another one where Keller pings the ball off Porter's head. He just throws it straight out and it bounces off him. And again, that's like a mental error rather than a massive failure of their system. So I'd say it's as frustrating and as head scratching at times for O'Connell and the other coaches, but it is costing them momentum. And at the same time, their lineout is still delivering and in a massive way to help them win these games.
Just on that, like we're being hypercritical here because if you look at across the Northern Hemisphere teams, I mean, England's issue is far worse. I mean, they just can't close out wins, games that are there for taking. We've obviously had two examples where we've done that against Argentina, Australia, Scotland. I mean, they'll be delighted with themselves, but the reality is against South Africa, they got absolutely battered, particularly at scrum, late in the game. So they've got to try and fix that if they're going to be competitive in the Six Nations. Wales have nothing really to build on. New Zealand obviously finished off poorly and dipped off a bit. So like it's not uncommon to have an area of the game that you're worried about. And our lineup, as I said, it's not costing us, games as such, but it's making it more difficult for us to put in, really, I suppose, outstanding performances that you can hang your hat on.
I think what actually O'Connell's he's a key part of one of the best lineouts I can remember was Ireland 2014-15 when they won the back-to-back Six Nations. And what I recall of that lineout was that it was simple in the extreme. And they often went to five mans just because they had O'Mahony, Toner, and O'Connell, if I'm remembering correctly. Three top operators, and they were really smart in their ability to change in the lineout. And obviously you don't want to be relying on 5+1s or five mans all the time, but there was a beauty in the simplicity of that team. And at certain stages with Ireland, it just feels like they're overcomplicating their heads a little bit, and that comes with confidence, I guess. So I think going into Six Nations, it'll almost be about, again, pairing it back and hoping that you don't get 24 lineouts in a game again where you've paired it back and you have to come up with stuff on the fly. That is highly unusual. We should underline, you're around 10, 11 lineouts maybe on average in a game. So it was a freakish element of this game. The Wallabies just kept kicking the ball out. Joe Schmidt was unhappy with that in the second half. He thought they were just too conservative and should have kept the ball in field, but it meant Ireland had more opportunities to mess a few of them up. I counted 6 lost on their own throw, but there were another at least 2 or 3 where the transfer was poor and they couldn't really play off the back of it. So definitely something that will be keeping Paul O'Connell awake at night, knowing him.